Sleep is incredibly important to me. So for me, the big goal was to figure out all the different ways that could disrupt my sleep and then have an answer for each one of them. I love a good cup of coffee. I don't have any real problems with it, and neither should you, but I'm here to tell you it doesn't do great things for your sleep. I'm not telling you to stop your coffee. I'm not going to tell you to go decaf 100%. Just figuring out what time and how to use it appropriately makes a lot of sense. So let's start by looking at your morning cup of coffee. Sleep is a dehydrating process. Just breathing, you lose almost a full liter of water. Caffeine is a diuretic. So if you drink coffee on an already dehydrated body, guess what? You're just gonna make it worse. It's really better to drink water as your first beverage of the day than anything else. What I tell most of my patients is within first 15 minutes of waking up, you need to drink probably between 12 and 16 ounces of water. But if you wait just 90 minutes to have your first cup of coffee, you actually get more bang for your buck. Let me explain to you why. In order to pull your body out of a state of unconsciousness, your body needs two hormones. We need adrenaline and cortisol. Both actually raise pretty high. If you compare from just how powerful it is, adrenaline and cortisol versus caffeine, it's like comparing cocaine to weak tea. So when adrenaline and cortisol are high right after you wake up, adding caffeine does almost no good. But if you wait 90 minutes when the caffeine and cortisol begin to drop and then you add caffeine, it actually lifts the caffeine and cortisol and you get a whole lot more punch for your beverage. So I would argue you want to wait about 90 minutes after you open your eyes before you have your first caffeinated beverage. You're probably okay to have a second one, maybe 3 to 4 hours later, but you really want to look at a cutoff time for caffeine being around 2 o'clock. Here's the true factor. Even if you're able to fall asleep having had caffeine at dinner, the quality of that sleep is going to be terrible because caffeine does keep you out of the deeper stages of sleep. So do me a favor, if you can, go decaf after 2 p.m. That way, it's not going to be disruptive to either the quantity or the quality of your sleep. Hello? Hey, hon, how's it going? You know, I'm in the middle of doing this thing here, doing a shoot. Can I give you a call back? All right, love you, bye. Phones. These can be a huge problem for sleep. They're awesome communication tools, and to be honest with you, they're almost like mini computers. But one of the big problems is they emit something called blue light. Believe it or not, it's not actually blue. It's just the regular light that comes from almost any cellular device. When that wavelength of light, which is 450 to 480 nanometers, when that light hits your eye, it actually reacts with a very particular type of cell called a melanopsin cell, which turns off the melatonin faucet in your brain. Not a great idea when you're trying to go to sleep at night. If you can give yourself an electronic curfew by stopping using them by about 60 minutes before bed, then you should be able to see some pretty dramatic effects. Now, I guarantee you there's somebody out there who's saying, wait a second, there's some software on my phone and I can push that and turn that software on and I should solve my problem. Software on the phone has almost no effect on the blue light. There is one out there for laptops called Flux, F-L-U-X. It's free to download, check it out. I have it on my laptop and it works really well. The other things you need to think about with mobile phones is the interaction, right? And so as an example, if you're trying to get your high score on, Candy Crush in the middle of the night, it's probably not very sleep-inducing. To be clear, sleep is not an on-off switch. It's more like slowly pulling your foot off the gas and slowly putting your foot on the brake. There's a process that needs to occur, and you need to allow your body the time to do that. So let's talk about the piece of sleep equipment that's going to be critical for you, and that's your pillow. So there are a lot of different types of pillows on the market. You need to figure out which one is best for you. There's a 3-step method that I like to use. 3 things you want to know is squishy or firm, what is your starting sleep position, and then any pain or not. Step number 1 is you got to decide squishy or firm. So this would be more of a firm pillow. This is a memory foam pillow. You can see its level of thickness. The other ones are down or synthetic down filled or shredded. You need to decide, first of all, do you need something that's movable and fixable or changeable, or are you okay with one standard form? The next thing you want to determine is what is your starting sleep position. So if you're a back or a stomach sleeper, this would be too thick of a pillow for you, right? Because if this is behind your head, you can see that if I'm lying down, my chin is now down, makes it much more difficult for me to breathe. However, this is perfect for side sleepers. Why? Because when I put it on the side of my head, you can see if the mattress was here, it would actually make up for the space between the outside of my shoulder and my ear. And that's why this actually turns out to be a great sized pillow for somebody who doesn't mind a firm memory foamish pillow and they're a side sleeper. The third question you want to ask yourself is about neck pain. So if you wake up with any neck pain, number one, that's a sign that you need a new pillow. But number two, if you try a pillow like this and you start to have neck pain, then clearly this is not the right pillow for you. If you're searching for a pillow and you already have neck pain, I would ask you to take your pillow and bring it to your doctor, whether it's your orthopedist or your chiropractor, to be able to show them the pillow to make sure that based on your injury, that's a safe pillow to utilize. I used to work in a pulmonary office where people would wake up in the middle of the night to smoke. One of the things we know is that nicotine is a stimulant. However, there's this thing called the nicotine paradox, where people say, well, I smoke and it helps me relax. How does that work? Usually what we think that is that's the withdrawal from the nicotine. To be clear, nicotine is a stimulant, and stimulants do not mix well with sleep. It absolutely has an effect on your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep, as well as the quality of your sleep is highly diminished. So I'm not a fan of using nicotine at all, certainly not before bed. Are we talking about the snooze button or the alarm clock?